My parents insisted I convert my dream art studio into a nursery for my sister's kids after her husband abandoned her. They didn't know I'd already rented out my whole house and was moving abroad. They thought I was just a timid artist, an easy target. They tried to take my home, my livelihood, even my past. But what they didn't know was that I'd spent years perfecting one masterpiece, a vanishing act that would make their world crumble. My name is Valerie, and for the last 5 years, this studio has been my sanctuary. Every paint-splattered floorboard, every sun-bleached wall, it holds a piece of my soul. Right now, the morning light is streaming through the bay windows, catching dust motes dancing around my latest commission. It's an abstract piece, already sold, enough to cover 3 months of my mortgage payments. Then my phone buzzes. My mom. Third call in 10 minutes. Valerie, thank God we have a situation. Her voice, it was that familiar mix of drama and disappointment. Your sister needs us. I dipped my brush into cerulean blue, adding another layer to the canvas. What's Kiara done now? I asked, my voice calm despite the knot forming in my stomach. It's Gareth. He's gone. A dramatic pause. Left her and the kids. Just gone. Bank accounts emptied. My brush froze mid-stroke. What? She needs somewhere to stay while we sort this out. Your father and I have been talking, and there it was. The familiar weight settled in my chest, heavy and cold, even before she finished the sentence. The studio would make a perfect nursery, she continued, oblivious. All that natural light. And honestly, darling, 34 is too old to be playing with paints. It's time you got serious about life. I glanced at the letter on my desk, a thick cream envelope confirming my acceptance to a Costa Rican artist residency. 10 days until departure. The irony of her words almost made me laugh out loud. Mom, this is my workplace, I said, trying to keep my voice even. I make a living here. Oh, please, she scoffed. Those little paintings barely cover your expenses. We all know your father helps with the mortgage. A bitter taste filled my mouth. I bit back the truth. Dad hadn't contributed a dime since I bought this house 3 years ago. They still thought I was renting. They never asked. They never noticed. My phone pinged again. A text from Kiara. Please, Val. The kids need their aunt. Don't be selfish. Selfish. Their favorite word for me. A label they'd slapped on me since childhood. Selfish for choosing art school over business. Selfish for not lending Kiara my car when she crashed hers. Selfish for missing Sunday dinners to meet gallery deadlines. Your sister will be there in an hour, Mom announced, already moving on. We'll help move your things to the garage. You can store all your... She paused, searching for the right word. Supplies there. I walked to the kitchen, every movement deliberate, almost unnaturally calm. I filled the kettle. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from the women's creative collective I'd been talking to about leasing the house. Still interested? Perfect timing. Mom, I called out, a smile playing at my lips. I'll put the tea on. See you soon. I ended the call and leaned against the counter, picturing their faces when they realized what was coming. They wanted my space. Fine. But they were about to learn what happens when you push an artist too far. The kettle whistled. I pulled out my grandmother's china set, the one Mom always coveted but never got. Might as well make this memorable. My phone lit up with a notification from the airline app. Check-in available for your flight to San Jose. I heard car doors slamming outside. Mom's Mercedes, Dad's BMW, Kiara's voice carrying across the garden, already planning where to put the changing table. They were right on schedule, just like always. I smoothed my paint-stained apron and checked my reflection in the window. The woman staring back wasn't the pushover they expected. She was someone else entirely. Someone who'd been planning this moment for longer than they knew. The doorbell rang. I picked up the teapot, arranged perfectly on the antique tray with 4 cups, one for each of them. None for me. They'd need something to hold on to when their world shifted sideways. Coming, I called out, my voice steady and sweet. Let them think I was the same compliant Valerie, ready to sacrifice everything for family harmony. Let them measure my walls and rearrange my life in their heads. I had 10 days to show them exactly how wrong they'd been about me all along. The door opened to their expectant faces. Mom's barely concealed satisfaction. Dad's practiced concern. Kiara's designer sunglasses hiding what I was sure were tactical tears. They filed in like they owned the place, already reaching for the tea I'd prepared. I smiled as I poured, watching steam rise like the plans forming in my mind. "So," I said, looking innocent, "tell me everything." And they did. They didn't notice how I didn't touch my phone when it buzzed again, probably my lawyer confirming the lease paperwork was ready. They didn't see me glance at the clock, counting down the hours until my meeting with the collective. They never really saw me, but they were about to feel my absence in ways they never imagined. Let the games begin. "The light in here is just perfect for the crib," Kiara announced, pacing my studio with the confident stride of someone who'd never heard the word no. Her designer heels clicked against the hardwood floors I'd hand-restored last summer. "We can put the changing table where that easel is." I sat perched on my work stool, watching my sister measure my life with an iPhone app. Her kids, Max and Emma, were with our parents at the park, probably being promised the moon and stars, just like their mother always was. "How long do you think you'll need to stay?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral, almost bland. Kiara pushed her sunglasses up onto her head, revealing red-rimmed eyes. "God, Val, my husband just abandoned me. I'm not exactly working with a timeline here." Mom swooped in from the kitchen, armed with her third cup of tea. "Darling, don't upset your sister. She's been through enough." She turned to me with that familiar look, the one that said I was being difficult again. "Valerie, we found some lovely storage units nearby. Very clean, very secure." I thought of the acceptance letter in my desk drawer, of the lease agreement waiting in my email, of the carefully orchestrated exit strategy I'd been piecing together for months. "Actually," I said, a faint smile playing on my lips, "I have some shows coming up, commissions to finish." "Shows?" Mom scoffed. "You mean those little coffee shop displays?" "The Hartley Gallery, actually," I replied smoothly. I didn't mention it's one of the most prestigious contemporary art spaces in the city. They wouldn't care anyway. "Oh, please," Kiara interjected, pulling open my supply drawers without asking. "You can paint in the garage. It's not like your Picasso." A memory flashed. Kiara ripping up my sketchbook in high school because I wouldn't let her copy my homework. Mom making me apologize for making a fuss about it. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. "Called your landlord. He's willing to discuss early lease termination." I almost laughed out loud. They still thought I rented this place. Never bothered to ask how I actually bought it 3 years ago. Never questioned where my coffee shop money really went. "I need to make some calls," I said, standing up. "Work stuff." Mom's voice rose an octave. "We're trying to help your sister. It will just take a minute." I stepped into my bedroom, closing the door on their protests. I dialed Caitlin, my former professor and current mentor. "They're here," I whispered, moving in like they own the place. "Lease papers are ready," she replied, her voice calm. "The collective can move in next week." "You're sure about this?" Through the door, I heard Kiara. "This wall color has to go. It's so artistic." "Never been more sure," I answered, a quiet fire igniting inside me. When I returned, they'd already started a pile of my non-essential supplies. My special order brushes, my reference books, my inspiration board, all deemed unnecessary for their vision of my future. "We can convert your bedroom, too," Kiara said, gesturing grandly. "Make it a proper playroom. You can take the pull-out couch in the living room." "Absolutely not." The words came out sharper than intended. Mom's head snapped up. "Valerie, my sister needs therapy." I cut in, immediately regretting the outburst. "Not yet. Not time yet." Kiara's face crumpled, right on cue. Mom rushed to comfort her while Dad appeared in the doorway, frowning. "Just got off the phone with Steve," he said. "Your landlord's being difficult about the lease. Says he hasn't heard from you about moving out." I forced my face to remain neutral. "Really? How strange. This is ridiculous." Kiara snapped, mascara running perfectly down one cheek. "I have nowhere else to go. My children need stability. And they'll have it," I said softly, almost kindly. "Just give me a few days to sort things out." They relaxed visibly, interpreting my words as surrender. Mom started talking about paint samples. Dad made notes about moving trucks. Kiara pulled out her phone, probably texting her friends about her wonderful, accommodating sister. None of them noticed me slipping the acceptance letter into my pocket. None of them saw me checking flight details or confirming appointments with my lawyer. They never did notice much about me, except when I wasn't fitting into their plans. I think I saw some boxes in the garage, I offered. Let me check. In the garage, I leaned against my car and took a deep breath. Through the window, I could see them in my studio, rearranging my life without me, just like always. My phone buzzed again. An email from the airline confirming my seat upgrade. First class. Might as well be comfortable while burning bridges. I heard Kiera calling my name, probably wondering where those boxes were. I straightened up, adjusted my expression, and headed back inside. 9 days left. Just 9 more days of being their perfect scapegoat. Then they'd learn what happens when you mistake silence for submission. So what should I do with these? I held up a set of expensive acrylic paints, playing my part perfectly. The garage gets pretty hot in summer. They might melt. Kiera barely glanced up from her phone. Just sell them. It's not like you'll need them anymore once you get a real job. I added them to the keep pile when she wasn't looking. These paints paid her mortgage last month. Not that she knew that. The anonymous transfer I'd arranged after Gareth left had kept her afloat, but she probably thought it was from one of her countless rich friends. Speaking of jobs, Mom chimed in, sorting through my canvases like they were yard sale items. Your father knows someone at his firm looking for a receptionist. I nodded, pretending to consider it, while texting Caitlin under the table. Meeting still on for 3. Confirmed. Bringing contracts plus keys for collective, she replied. Val, are you even listening? Kiera snapped. We're trying to help you build an actual future here. Sorry. Just checking gallery details. I lied smoothly. Then I added innocently, by the way, how much is Gareth sending for child support? The room went silent. Kiera's face flushed. That's none of your business. Mom interjected quickly. Just trying to help plan the budget, honey, since we're also concerned about proper adult responsibilities. Dad cleared his throat from his corner. Actually, we should discuss financial arrangements. Your mother and I can help with. No need. I cut in. I've got it covered. They exchanged looks, the kind they've been sharing since I was 12, and announced I wanted to be an artist. The poor, deluded Valerie looks. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk about Kiera. Tate. My heart skipped a beat. Tate. My ex Gareth's former best friend. Haven't heard from him in years. I need to run some errands, I announced, grabbing my keys. Art supplies to sell, you know. Perfect timing. Mom said, we need paint samples from the hardware store. I'm thinking pale yellow for the nursery walls. I was already halfway to the door. Make a list. I'll check prices. The drive to Caitlin's gallery took 15 minutes. I spent every one of them imagining my family's faces when they realized what was coming. Caitlin greeted me with a knowing smile and a stack of papers. The collective is thrilled, she said, spreading out the lease agreement. 12 months. Starting next week. They'll take good care of the place. And your art. Safe storage in our climate-controlled warehouse until you're back from Costa Rica. She paused. Are you sure about this, Val? It's a nuclear option. I thought about this morning. Kiera measuring my studio windows for curtains. Mom planning to paint over my murals. Dad making calls about proper jobs. They've never seen me, I said, signing the papers. Time to show them what that costs. Caitlin handed me a coffee. Your latest piece sold, by the way. The blue abstract. Buyer paid double asking price. I smiled, thinking of Mom's dismissive little paintings comment. The price would cover Kiera's rent for 6 months. Not that I'd be helping with that anymore. My phone lit up. Tate again. It's about what really happened with Gareth and us. Kiera knew things she never told you. Of course she did. My perfect sister. Always managing everyone's stories but her own. I should get back, I told Caitlin. They'll wonder where I am. She handed me a set of keys. For the collective. Don't forget to introduce yourself to your new tenants. I drove home slowly, stopping for paint samples I'd never use. Through the studio windows, I could see Kiera and Mom rearranging my furniture, planning their takeover of my space. Inside, they'd made more piles. Donate, trash, maybe keep. Years of my work, sorted by people who never understood it. Oh, good you're back, Mom said. We need to discuss the timeline for moving your things out. Kiara's lease ends next week. And actually, I interrupted, I made a list of things I need to sort through first. Give me a few days. Kiara rolled her eyes. Seriously? The kids need just a few days, I repeated softly, to do it properly. They relented, probably thinking I was finally accepting their plan. Mom looked relieved. Dad patted my shoulder awkwardly. After they left, I stood in my studio, my real studio, not their imagined nursery. Evening light painted the walls gold, catching the edges of half-packed boxes and bubble-wrap paintings. My phone buzzed one last time. Tate! Coffee tomorrow. You deserve to know the truth. I texted back a time and place, then started wrapping my grandmother's china. They'd missed these cups when I was gone. 7 days left. The countdown continued. Tate hadn't changed much in 5 years. Same leather jacket. Same way of running his hand through his hair when he's nervous. He was already at our usual table at Riverside Coffee when I arrived. You look good, Val, he said, standing awkwardly. Success suits you. Let's skip the small talk, I said, sitting down, not removing my jacket. What do you know about Gareth? He sighed, pushing a coffee toward me. He's been cheating on Kiara for years. Since before the kids. And your sister knew the whole time. The coffee suddenly tasted bitter in my mouth. She knew. She needed his money, his status. Played the perfect wife while he played around. He leaned forward, his voice dropping. But that's not why I called you. A barista passed by, giving us space to process the weight of his words. Remember why we broke up? He asked. You said you needed space, that we wanted different things. The memory still stung, even after all these years. Kiara told me you were cheating on me, he said, his hands clenched around his cup. Said she caught you with some gallery owner. I believed her because, well, she's Kiara. She's always been the honest one, right? The world tilted sideways. What? Found out last month. She'd done the same thing to Gareth's previous girlfriend. It's her pattern. Eliminate threats. Maintain control. He pulled out his phone, showed me old texts from Kiara. She was scared you'd get serious about art. Move away. Leave her without her backup plan. Backup plan. I whispered, the rage beginning to boil. You, he clarified. The responsible one. The one who'd take care of her when everything fell apart. Like now. My hands were shaking. She ruined us to keep me available for her eventual breakdown. Val, there's more. He slid an envelope across the table. Gareth didn't empty the accounts. Kiara did. She's been moving money for months, preparing for this. Playing victim is her specialty. I thought of my anonymous transfers to her account, of my parents rushing to her rescue, of my studio being sacrificed for her convenience. Why? Why now? Because she's doing it again, he said, answering my unspoken question. I heard her on the phone yesterday, telling your parents she's planning to stay permanently, that she'll help you see reason about giving up art. He reached for my hand, but I pulled back. You need to know what you're dealing with. My phone buzzed. Mom. Picked up more paint samples. Thinking of remodeling your bathroom, too. Kiara needs a proper vanity. I have to go, I said, standing up abruptly. Val, wait. Tate followed me outside. What are you going to do? I thought of my packed suitcase, of the lease agreement, of the life I'd built that they were so eager to dismantle. Nothing, I said, a small, chilling smile spreading on my face. I'm not going to do anything. He looked confused. They're taking everything from you. No, I smiled, thinking of the keys in my pocket. They just think they are. Back home, Kiara's car was in my driveway. She was in my studio, supervising movers who were shifting my furniture to make room for her vision. Oh, good, she chirped when she saw me. We need your help deciding where to donate these paintings. They're not really nursery appropriate. I looked at her. Really looked at her. My beautiful, manipulative sister. The golden child who'd been orchestrating my life's disappointments since we were kids. Actually, I said, my voice dangerously calm, I think I'll keep them for now. Don't be difficult, Val. The movers are charging by the hour. Who's paying them? I asked, my gaze steady. She blinked. What? The movers? Since Gareth left you broke, right? Who's paying? A flash of something crossed her face. Calculation. Maybe fear. Daddy, of course. Interesting. I headed to my bedroom, locking the door behind me. My phone lit up with a text from the airline. Your flight is confirmed for Sunday. I pulled out my grandmother's old writing desk and began a letter. Dear family, by the time you read this. Knock, knock, knock. Val, honey, sweetie. Kiara's voice. Mom wants to know if you'll join us for dinner. We're planning the nursery color scheme. I'll be right there. I called back, continuing to write. 4 days left. Just 4 more days of playing the compliant daughter, the supportive sister. 4 days until they learn what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. I sealed the letter, added it to my go bag, and headed out to dinner. Let them plan their nursery. Let them measure and scheme and rearrange. They thought they were dismantling my life. They didn't realize they were just providing material for my greatest work yet, my disappearing act. My phone buzzed one last time. Caitlin. Collective members want to meet tomorrow. Ready to set the plan in motion. I texted back a single word. Ready. What's this? Kiara waved my journal in the air, her face flushed with anger. The exit plan. You're planning to abandon us. I kept my voice steady, though my heart raced. You went through my things? Of course I did. You've been acting weird for days. She flipped through pages. Costa Rica? An artist residency. Are you kidding me? Mom and Dad burst through the studio door, probably drawn by Kiara's rising voice. What's going on? Mom demanded. Show them. Kiara thrust the journal at them. Show them how selfish you really are. I watched their faces as they read. Dad's turned red. Mom's crumpled in familiar disappointment. You accepted this without consulting us. Dad's voice shook. Without considering your sister's situation. My situation? I laughed, and it sounded foreign even to me. You mean my career? My home? My life? Don't be dramatic. Mom cut in. This isn't about you. Kiara always needs something. I interrupted. And I'm always expected to provide it. Because that's what family does. Kiara shrieked. But you wouldn't know about that, would you? Too busy with your little paintings to care about anyone else. I thought of the anonymous payments. Of the times I'd watched her kids, so she could network with Garrett's colleagues. Of every sacrifice they'd never noticed. You know what's interesting? I said, keeping my voice low, dangerously calm. None of you ever asked how I bought this house. They paused, confused by the change in topic. What are you talking about? Dad frowned. You rent from Steve? No, I said, meeting their eyes one by one. I bought it 3 years ago. With my little painting's money. I turned to Kiara. The same money that mysteriously appeared in your account last month when Gareth left. Her face paled. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, what else is interesting? How you knew exactly when to tell Tate I was cheating on him right before my first international show. The one that would have taken me away from being your backup plan. That's ancient history, she stammered. And he's lying, like you lied about Gareth's affairs. About the money you've been hiding. Mom stepped between us. Stop this nonsense. Your sister is going through a divorce. A divorce she orchestrated. I cut in. But you'll never see that, will you? Because Kiara's the victim. Kiara's the golden child. Kiara needs the studio, the house, my life. You're being hysterical, Dad said, his voice laced with patronizing disapproval. This isn't like you. No, I said, a cold certainty in my tone. This is exactly like me. You just never bothered to notice. I pulled out my phone, dialed a number, and put it on speaker. Hello. Caitlin's voice filled the room. Val, the collective's here. We're ready when you are. Perfect timing, I said, meeting my family's stunned gazes. Could you bring over the lease paperwork? My family should probably see it. You can't lease what you don't own. Mom snapped. I reached into my desk, pulled out the deed to the house, and watched their faces as reality crashed in. You're right, I said softly. Good thing I own it then. Kiara lunged for the papers, but I stepped back. You can't do this. Your children have a trust fund from Gareth's parents, I interrupted, meeting her eyes directly. The one you didn't tell anyone about. Tate told me everything. The doorbell rang. Caitlin entered with a group of women. The collective members. Right on schedule. You must be Valerie's family, one said brightly. We're so excited about transforming the space into our new creative hub. Mom grabbed my arm. Whatever game you're playing, stop it now. Game's already over, Mom. I gently removed her hand. You have until Sunday to find alternative arrangements. You'd throw your own sister out. Dad's voice rose, incredulous. Your own flesh and blood? No, I said, watching Caitlin lay out the contracts. I'm just doing what you taught me, looking out for family. My chosen family. The ones who actually see me. Kiara started crying, right on cue. But for the first time, I didn't feel the pull to fix it. I'll be gone by morning, I told them. The collective moves in next week. You can reach my lawyer if you have questions. Gone where? Mom demanded, her voice cracking. I thought of my packed bags and my ticket to Costa Rica, of the freedom waiting on the other side of Sunday. Does it matter? I asked. You never saw me when I was here anyway. They were still shouting as I walked out, their voices fading behind me like old paint being covered by new colors. 2 days left, but really, I was already gone. My phone buzzed with a final text from Tate. Proud of you. For the first time in years, I was too. The moving truck arrived at exactly 9 a.m. on Sunday. I watched from the airport terminal as my phone exploded with notifications. Texts from Mom, missed calls from Dad, voice messages from Kiara, each one more desperate than the last. A video call came through from Caitlin. I answered to see chaos unfolding in my driveway. You're missing quite a show, she said, turning the camera. Kiara stood in her designer dress, blocking the movers with her body. This is my sister's house. You can't just... Actually, one of the collective members held up the lease. It's our house for the next 12 months. Legally binding contract. Mom's Mercedes screeched into the driveway. She jumped out, still in her church clothes. Where is she? Where's Valerie? Probably on her way to her flight, Caitlin answered calmly. As she informed you all last week. Flight! Dad appeared, face red. What flight? The collective began moving in their equipment. Easels, supplies, furniture. Professional, efficient, unstoppable, like a wave washing away footprints in the sand. This is ridiculous, Kiara screamed. I have children. We have nowhere to go. That's not true, another collective member said, waving a folder. According to these bank statements, you have quite a healthy savings account, plus that lovely condo in your name. Kiara's face went white. The secret account, the one she thought no one knew about. How did you? She started. Your sister's lawyer is very thorough, Caitlin explained. Had to be for insurance purposes. My boarding call echoed through the terminal. First class to San Jose, now boarding. Wait! Mom grabbed the phone from Caitlin. Valerie, baby, please. We can talk about this. Check the studio door, I said quietly. I left you something. The camera shook as they rushed to the studio. There. Taped to the door was a sealed envelope. Should I stay on the line? Caitlin asked. No need, I said, a sense of profound peace washing over me. I've seen enough. I ended the call, but not before I heard the envelope being torn open. Inside, they'd find 3 things. First, a copy of the lease agreement, legally binding and ironclad. Second, a photo of me at the airport, smiling and free. Third, a letter that began, Dear family, you wanted my space. Congratulations. Now you have nothing. My phone buzzed continuously as I boarded the plane. I scrolled through the messages before switching to airplane mode. Mom, please come home. We can fix this. Dad, this is completely unacceptable behavior. Kiara, you're vindictive. You've ruined everything. The last one made me smile. Coming from her, it was almost a compliment. A final text from Caitlin. They're still here. Your mom's crying. Kiara's threatening lawyers. The collective is calmly unpacking while your dad makes angry phone calls. It's better than theater. I settled into my first-class seat, ordered a champagne, and pulled out my sketchbook. The flight attendant peered at my drawing, a family of shadows being washed away by waves of color. That's beautiful, she said. What's it called? Notice served, I replied, adding another stroke of blue. My phone lit up one last time before I turned it off completely. It was an email from my lawyer. Lease filed and recorded. Restraining order ready if needed. Your family has been formally notified that any attempts to enter or interfere with the property will result in legal action. Enjoy Costa Rica. You're free. Free. The word echoed as we took off, the ground falling away below us. In my mind, I could see them standing in my driveway. Mom clutching her pearls. Dad on the phone with his useless lawyer friends. Kiara realizing her backup plan had backfired spectacularly. The collective would transform my studio into something new, something vibrant, something that had nothing to do with nurseries or family obligations or golden children who take and take and take. I ordered another champagne, raised it in a silent toast to the clouds outside my window. To Kiara, who thought she could claim my space like she claimed everything else. To my parents, who would have to find a new scapegoat for their golden child's disasters. To the artist they never saw, finally painting her masterpiece in disappearing ink. The plane leveled out above the clouds. My family was learning what happens when you push too far, take too much, see too little. I pulled out my noise-canceling headphones, drowning out the last echoes of their voices in my head. Let them rage. Let them threaten. Let them finally feel what it's like to be invisible. I had a new canvas waiting in Costa Rica, and this time, I was the only one holding the brush. You turned your trauma into pure gold, Desiree said, studying my latest piece. The Costa Rican sun streamed through the studio windows, catching the metallic elements in my work. This is going to be the centerpiece of the show. 3 months had passed since I left my family standing in that driveway. 3 months of peace, creativity, and healing in this tropical artist haven. The gallery director wants to know the title, she continued. Snapping photos for the exhibition catalog, I stepped back, considering the massive canvas, swirling shapes in deep blues, and purples shot through with veins of gold leaf. At its center, a hollow space in the perfect dimensions of my old studio. Inheritance, I decided. I'm calling it Inheritance. My phone chimed. The first time I'd allowed notifications in weeks. An email from Caitlin. You might want to see this. Your sister's meltdown has gone viral. Attached was a link to a local news website. The headline made my stomach drop. Local woman claims artist's sister abandoned family. Truth reveals different story. Oh God! I muttered, clicking the link. Desiree read over my shoulder as comments poured in. Wait! The abandoned sister had a secret condo and savings account while crying homeless. Who tries to steal their siblings' house and business. Found the golden child's Instagram. Years of bragging about wealth while her sister was actually paying her bills anonymously. The parents are just as bad. Who sides with a lying manipulator over their other kid? I scrolled through hundreds of similar comments, my hands shaking. Looks like your sister tried to play victim on social media, Desiree observed, a slight smirk playing on her lips. It backfired spectacularly. My phone buzzed again. An email from Mom. How could you let this happen? Your sister is devastated. Her reputation is ruined. The country club is gossiping. Please come home and fix this. Delete. Another from Dad. This public humiliation is unacceptable. Your sister's children are suffering. Their friends' parents are asking questions. Delete. You okay? Desiree squeezed my shoulder. Actually, I said, putting my phone down, a profound calm settling over me. Yes. For the first time, I really am. The studio door opened and Maria, the residency director, burst in. Valerie, amazing news. The International Gallery Association wants your show. All of it. They're offering a world tour. My heart stopped. World tour. 6 countries, starting with Paris. She handed me the official letter. They're calling your work a revolutionary exploration of family dynamics and emotional liberation. The advance alone is more than most artists see in years. I thought of my family's dismissal of my little paintings, of Mom's suggestion that I become a receptionist, of Kiara measuring my studio for her nursery. There's more, Maria continued, barely taking a breath. That blog post about your story is being optioned for a book deal. People are calling it a perfect example of quiet revenge and karmic justice. Desiree hugged me tightly. You did it, Val. You really did it. My phone lit up one last time. A text from Tate. Saw the news. Saw your art, too. You're incredible. Kiara is showing her true colors to everyone now. No one to manipulate when the whole world knows the truth. I walked to the window, looking out at the lush Costa Rican landscape. Somewhere back home, my family was facing the consequences of their actions. Not through my words or accusations, but through the simple act of me walking away and letting truth surface on its own. "The gallery wants to know if you'll speak at the opening," Maria said, pulling me back to the present. "Share your story." I turned back to my painting, Inheritance, with its hollow center slowly filling with light. "Yes," I said. "I think it's time." Desiree raised an eyebrow. "What will you tell them?" I dipped my brush in gold paint, adding final touches to the canvas. "The truth, that sometimes the greatest masterpiece you can create is the life you save by walking away." My phone buzzed with another news alert. Exclusive. The real story behind viral family drama. How one artist turned pain into success. I silenced it without reading further. Let them talk. Let them speculate. Let them finally see what they missed all those years. I had paintings to finish, a world tour to plan, a life to live, and somewhere in my old studio, now filled with creative energy and genuine art, the last traces of my family's control were being painted over, one brushstroke at a time. "Ready for the photographer?" Maria asked. "The exhibition catalog needs your portrait." I stood before my work, brush in hand, smile genuine and free. "Ready," I said. I've never been more ready. The Paris gallery buzzed with anticipation. Through the glass doors, I could see the lines stretching around the block. Critics, collectors, and art lovers, all here for my exhibition opening. 5 minutes, Maria whispered, adjusting my collar. "Are you ready?" Before I could answer, my phone lit up. "Caitlin, turn on the news now." Maria pulled it up on her tablet. A familiar face filled the screen. Gareth, Kiara's ex-husband, standing on courthouse steps. "After reviewing evidence of financial manipulation and parental alienation," he announced, "the court has granted me full custody of our children." The camera panned to Kiara, being led to a police car. "White-collar fraud charges," the ticker read. The secret accounts weren't so secret anymore. "Your sister's going to jail," Maria said softly, her eyes wide. "No," I corrected her, a sense of grim satisfaction settling over me. "She's finally facing consequences." The gallery doors opened. People flooded in, moving from piece to piece. I heard gasps at Inheritance, now valued at more than my parents' house. A familiar figure caught my eye. Tate, looking sharp in a suit, studying my work with pride. "Couldn't miss this," he said when I approached. "It's beautiful, Val. All of it. Even the ugly parts, especially those." He handed me a newspaper. Speaking of which, the headline read, "Local business mogul steps down amid scandal." Below, a photo of my father leaving his office. Head down. "The fraud investigation into Kiara revealed some creative accounting at his firm," Tate explained. "He's been covering up her schemes for years." The gallery director signaled. "Time for my speech." I took the podium, facing the crowd of eager faces. Cameras flashed. Critics leaned forward. "People ask why I paint hollow spaces," I began. "Empty rooms, missing pieces, negative space filled with gold. They ask what I'm trying to say." A movement at the back caught my eye. Mom. She slipped in, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. No designer clothes today. No perfect makeup. "The truth is," I continued, my voice steady, "sometimes the most valuable thing we own is the courage to leave space empty. To resist filling it with other people's expectations." Mom's eyes met mine. For once, she was the one who looked away first. "My family wanted me to trade my dreams for diapers," I said, watching her flinch. Instead, I framed their demands and turned them into art. Every dismissal became a brushstroke. Every manipulation became color. The crowd murmured appreciation, moving closer. "They say success is the best revenge." I paused, letting the words hang in the air, but I disagree. The best revenge is living truthfully, even when the truth hurts. After the speech, Mom approached. She was holding a familiar envelope. My last letter, worn from repeated reading. "Your father's firm is finished," she said quietly. "The country club rescinded our membership. Kiara's children," she trailed off, "are better off with Gareth." I finished for her, away from the manipulation. "We lost everything." "No," I corrected her, my voice unwavering. "You lost what was never really yours. My space, My talent. My compliance. She looked around the gallery, at the price tags that could buy several houses, at the critics scribbling rave reviews, at the life she tried to dismiss as childish dreams. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I don't expect forgiveness." I cut in. "Good. Because that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I chose myself." Finally, the gallery director approached with a champagne bottle. "They're ready for the toast." Mom stepped back, understanding the dismissal. "You look strong," she said. "I always was," I replied. "You just never saw it." She slipped away as cameras flashed. The director raised her glass. "To Valerie," she announced, whose Inheritance series just sold for a gallery record, and whose story reminds us that sometimes the greatest art comes from knowing what to leave behind. I raised my glass, catching Tate's proud smile, Maria's knowing nod, Caitlin's thumbs up from the back. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from the Women's Collective, now thriving in my old studio. "Your space is filled with light and creation, just like you wanted, just like you deserved." I looked around at my work, at the hollow spaces now filled with gold, at the shadows transformed into light, at the truth painted in colors too bright to ignore. They wanted me to trade my dreams for diapers. Instead, I turned their demands into my masterpiece. And now the whole world could see exactly what they missed. I raised my glass higher, toasting not to success or revenge, but to the empty spaces I refused to fill. Sometimes the most beautiful art comes from knowing exactly what to leave behind. And sometimes the greatest inheritance is the life you choose for yourself. So what about you? Have you ever had to choose between family expectations and your own dreams? Or stood up to people who tried to take advantage of you? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Let's share and support each other.